Alright guys, HyDra again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. The final set of Major 1 qualifiers are coming up this weekend. Big storylines going into it, especially with some top 4 matches finally getting back underway, but also the Carolina Royal Ravens confirming yesterday GodRx dropped from the team. Fellow is coming in, and GodRx even goes as far to decide to retire from competitive Call of Duty as a result. Lots of storylines to dive into today. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. First of all, can you believe it? After the ranked play delay, I was, to be honest, not really expecting it to come out the next day. I thought it was, oh yeah, well, sorry guys, we've had this unfortunate error. It's going to take us a couple of weeks to fix it while we actually make ranked play ready. But no, they actually managed to release it yesterday. Played a bit of it last night, had to grind up to level 55 by playing a lot of Rio. There's a Rio 24/7 game mode. Played a lot of that yesterday, and honestly, I think it's pretty damn good. The map is a perfect size Rio. Parts of it kind of remind me of Seaside, and there's also like the middle of the map kind of reminds me of Plaza. I don't know if you guys remember that map from Black Ops 2, but there's kind of some vibes of that going on. It looks like when you play it, the type of map that, you know, Treyarch might design. There's even some like aquarium vibes from Black Ops 3. I had to mention Black Ops 3 in there somewhere, so maybe you know what I mean by that. But or even that map that they added in, the one with the theme park, the water theme park. What was that called? Splash, something like that. Was that right? I think I'm just waffling this one, but there's some crossover, maybe some parallels there. Played a bit of hardpoint on it, but it's tough to really tell how that's going to play out in pubs compared to actual CDL gameplay. But I definitely think that Rio is better than many of the maps in the game at the moment. So hopefully the pros will at least give it a go. That would be nice to see after the major concludes. But of course, for now, this weekend at the major, they'll be playing on the old patch update. They're not going to transfer to the new one yet, which to be honest is pretty sensible because it's changed the game dramatically. Only got 3 maps of ranked in last night. Played a Karachi hardpoint, which I don't think is better, you know. This is what I was saying yesterday with the fact that it's change for change's sake on some of these maps. Karachi P4 is a bit of a nightmare, to be honest. I preferred when there was a hardpoint in the bottom of the church. I actually think that was better than it just being out on the street there for no reason. P5 I don't really have a problem with. And then we played a sub base as well, where I don't know, it was just a bit weird. Like, the spawns were very strange. Some hills I was spawning in absolute Narnia, and then that, like, new P3, which probably isn't the worst till ever, but the spawns are very sticky there. So, yeah, I found Subbase to play a bit strange, but as I say, it's like my first map, even on the game in quite a while, and especially on the new spawn update. So, definitely interested to hear your thoughts in the comments below if you've played a bit of Ranked yesterday, how you felt about it, because, yeah, I haven't played Terminal yet, but I know people have said that Terminal, as I kind of said yesterday, plays worse because P1, which is now in the bookshop, massively favors the spawns on security side because, you know, let's say you're playing Search and Destroy, you get into bookshop for free anyway. So if it's the same story in Hardpoint, that's obviously not ideal. So people are now saying that Terminal doesn't necessarily play better. I think Karachi plays worse. Maybe Invasion, I haven't played that yet, but could they have just, like, got rid of the Palace and just put it down to 4 hardpoints? Like, that wouldn't have been the worst solution. So, yeah, I don't know. I look at this update and I think that maybe some things have improved, but also by changing all the rotations, you now also create new problems with the spawn system that are now going to have to be resolved. So I think they've created problems for themselves. I'm sure there's some positives, but from what I played yesterday, I'm not so convinced that the game is not, like, fixed. It's not like Infinite Warfare, if you guys remember, when they did a spawn update for Hardpoint, and, like, all of a sudden the game actually played well, which pretty much overnight it became a very good Hardpoint game. That is not, I would say, the case this time around. And even as Zinni says, ranked play without a proper anti-cheat is like a delicious soup with no spoon. So I haven't run into any cheaters yet. I don't know if you guys have only played a couple of games, but it's evidently going to be a problem to some degree. Wanted to say shout out to Havoc as well because, you know, it's understandable that he decided to step away from competing. He's got, like, really the perfect blend, I would say, of a great personality. Even back to, like, you know, I'm going to mention Black Ops 3 again, but I have to because that's when I started watching Havoc play, you know, 1v1 wages, stuff like this. Always a very entertaining personality. Shame that he's not competing anymore because I still think that he could do it. But, you know, he's obviously got the personality and the talent to make it work from a content side. And he's done great stuff on YouTube as well over the last few months and had 8,000 viewers yesterday when ranked play dropped. So I thought that was absolutely fantastic for Colt. And this was another funny thing yesterday where Nameless thought that he was getting stream sniped. Maybe he was getting stream sniped, but to counter that, he decided to block out the minimap, which is just such a funny thing to do for ranked play Search and Destroy. You often see players doing this this in, tournaments or certainly in scrims, let's say challengers scrims, they might block out the minimap. It's a bit of a weird, maybe it's a bit of a superstitious thing that players do, but they want to kind of prevent people that might be watching seeing where their teammates are on the minimap and stuff like this. So, Nameless decided to do it here for ranked search and destroy, so I don't really know if that was a benefit or a hurt to those guys. But also wanted to mention this, the Boston event coming up next weekend. Minnesota Rock are actually going to be hosting their watch party, which is pretty cool, in Minneapolis. So if you guys are local to that, feel free to get involved and attend. Nice to see that Minnesota are still doing these local activations despite, getting taken over in some sense by G2 and the franchise era potentially coming to an end in the very near future. But, Minnesota are still doing this local stuff, which is kind of nice to see. But of course, we've got to talk about the big story of yesterday, really, which was the confirmation of the rumor that we talked about in yesterday's video that GodRx is out of the Ravens. This was somewhat inevitable. It's tough for GodRx, right? Because he's not been good, obviously, for this roster. Nobody is denying that. He wouldn't, deny that himself, I imagine. But just the timing is tough, right? The way that this season has been structured, the fact that there's no, kickoff LAN, I just feel bad for GodRx, right? He's been grinding in challenges for years to get this opportunity back into the league. It doesn't work out, absolutely, and he's not playing well. But, to not get the chance to at least play on LAN one final time is pretty rough, but it's just part and parcel of the way the season is formatted. And look, I've also made the point that if you're not good online, maybe you're a great LAN player, but if you're not good online, you're going to leave so many points on the table that it's just untenable to maintain that situation. So GodRx, look, these are the numbers so far this season. It's not pretty. We've talked about it many a time. But also, I think you've got to say, GodRx is a better player than he showed here. The eye test obviously didn't look great for him. The decision-making was not looking great. But also, it kind of reminds me somewhat of when Attach was saying, when Attach was dropped from Rocker last year, whatever it was, and he said that, the coaching staff were telling him to play in a certain way. I wonder exactly what's going on here behind the scenes at Ravens, because, Brian Saints has got a lot of criticism over the last few years for his management of the Minnesota Rocker. He comes into Ravens this season and, maybe there's questions. I wonder if GodRx will ever talk about this, the way that the team was structured internally. Maybe he just played terrible. But, there's a possibility that he was being told to play a certain way, or he was trying to fit into a system in a certain way that didn't really fit his style. I don't know. But at the end of the day, it wasn't working for all parties. So GodRx is dropped basically from the roster and goes on to confirm shortly afterwards, keeping it short but sweet, but I'll be retiring from competitive Call of Duty. Had a hell of a career, but one door closes, another one opens. Forever grateful for everyone I've met and experience I've had, and don't regret a single thing. Thanks everyone. So yeah, it's really tough, right? The way things have worked out for GodRx, I'm wishing him the best going forwards. But is this the correct decision? I would probably say so. I think honestly you've got to give credit to GodRx because he was, great player. Let's say Black Ops 4, let's say he started the CDL era, Modern Warfare 2019, had some good success at that time, went down to challenges and has killed it down there for a few years. Certainly at the end of last year was dropping phenomenal numbers when he won the Challengers World Championship, so earned his spot back into the league very commendably so. He's got back into the league, he's joined a not particularly good team, he's not played well, found himself as the odd man out, and now he's back to Challengers again. And the reality is that if he wants to grind through Challengers, he could, and he could possibly earn a spot back in another 4 years. But this is the problem when you've come into the league, you've had a bit of a stinker, no one else is going to trust GodRx to come into their team in the near future. So, why would you grind challenges and make no money, really, for several more years when you can step away and do, something else with your life, or like Killer did, pick up the toolkit and this type of stuff. I think Killer became an electrician. So, I don't know what GodRx will do. I always kind of wonder what these, old school pros are up to. If you're Havoc and you've got the great stream and the great personality, there's that option. But, yeah, obviously wishing the best for GodRx in the future. And basically 10 years of COD, right? GodRx has been around for a long time. He had that period, Black Ops 4 MW19, where he was really strong, and as we can see here, 4th at COD Champs on Enigma 6, was it, 2019, back-to-back 1.33 KD events, MVP of last year's Challengers Finals, of course, won it as well, and this is his career card that Lineman put together here, just looking at the pro tournaments that he's played. So, yeah, sad to see how this has all worked out, to be honest, but it feels somewhat inevitable, I suppose, seeing what's happened lately, and the replacement is, as we talked about yesterday, going to be Tyler Fellow, coming in alongside Clay for certainly not the first time in their careers. Sure, Fellow's been good in challenges, no doubt about it, and he's kind of been the player in challenges that Clay kind of also has been, if you know what I mean. He's not going to drop crazy numbers. He's looked really good on this game, to be fair, so I definitely see why he's coming in. And also, there's experience there with him and Clay, with him and Coach Brian Saint, and, I feel like they should be better. But Fellow's been the guy that puts, 3 kind of cracked young players around him and then tries to make it work from, a leadership point of view. Having Clay and Fellow is a question on whether that's somewhat overkill. So Fellow actually says, thanks for all the love on the announcement. Now, the issue is for Ravens, their map count is atrocious, as we'll see Scrappy mention here in a second, and their record is obviously not good either. So they need to win both of these series this weekend. Winning one and hoping to get through on map count at 2 in 5 is not going to happen with their map count. So, you know, they need to beat both FaZe and LA Thieves, which is probably not going to happen, but Fellow will try his best. This is also interesting, though. TJ will stay in the team with Real still with visa issues, which, you know, we all predicted they were going to continue. So TJ is staying in the roster, and apparently many players turned Carolina down. So Fellow was one of the only to say yes. But there was some discussion. I looked through all of Clay's clips on his stream yesterday to try and find if anyone had clipped this about what Clay said about Fellow's pickup, but I unfortunately couldn't find any, so we just have to kind of go on what is said here on the Reddit. But apparently Clay said they trialed other players, so there were some players that agreed to try with them, and maybe even they looked better with those other players. But Fellow brings in some leadership quality, and they feel like they'll be better with Fellow overall. But then, of course, people are wondering, well, isn't that kind of what Clay's meant to do? And is a Clay and Fellow AR duo really going to last the test of time? I don't personally think so, but we'll see. I don't really think a one-man change is enough, and Scrappy certainly says that their current record is not going to cut it.
So they don't need a plug-in, Ben.
So we hear the standings going in the final week of these online qualifiers.
God
Matches,
damn.
and there's a good chance that someone goes 2 and
These
5.
teams are ass.
Bro, someone is going to make 8 seed going 2 and 5. It's a good chance.
It's Scrappy.
Well, 3 and
What are you saying?
Is everybody but the Heretics
3
negative?
and 14.
Are they that bad, Scrap, or
Wait,
no?
bro,
Bro,
there
all
might
their
be a
map wins are the
chance-
same series. They're
Yeah, I
all
know.
in the same one.
bro, there might be a chance though that only
They
the top 4
reverse
teams has a
swept.
positive win-loss in games.
Damn, baby.
They deadass won every map this year in the same series.
So they are going to need someone to bring kills to the table. Maybe that could be Clay. Maybe that could be Fellow. Someone's got to step up from the AR side. And look, Gwyn is going to do a decent job of that. TJ's there still for the meantime. It's just tough for the Ravens all around. I'm not surprised exactly. I think they did need to get rid of GodRx and try out other options, but I just think getting in Fellow is one of these changes where it almost feels like, could they just run it out for the major with GodRx and then afterwards made a change? Because getting Fellow in is fine, but I have a hard time imagining that AR lineup is going to last till the end of the season. So Clay also says that, because he's been working hard on himself out of the game, quitting the vape and all this stuff, and says that the first 2 weeks of January were 2 of the best I've had in a long time. So hopefully that kind of good feeling outside of the game translates into good feeling and performance in the game, and I think it will certainly need to be honest, if they want to have decent success going forwards. So this weekend though, there are some big games. Envoy put together here is matchup of the week, which is absolutely a no-brainer. He actually picks FaZe to win this one, and he picks the winners of the other series as well that we'll see here in just a couple of seconds. So these are the current standings in the CDL. We saw what Scrappy had to say about the right with Ravens. Technically 10th, only because they've played 5 series and Legion and Thieves have played 4, but they played 6, sorry, and therefore Ravens haven't lost as many series yet, but that might quickly change. 3 and 14 map count, of course, is tragic to say the very least, and this is how things currently look. So, I mean, it's really a no-brainer who the best 4 teams in the league are at the moment, and there are some teams that have massive matchups this weekend, right? Because Boston trying to make winners at their own major. They're currently in there at 20 points, 2 in 4, and 2 in 5 might well be enough with a solid map count. If they can go like map 5 against New York Subliners this weekend, they probably make winners, even only winning 2 matches, which is kind of incredible, but it's definitely possible. LA Gorillas as well, they're in a pretty decent spot. They play Rocker and Heretics. Minnesota Rocker, they have a chance as well. They play Gorillas and Surge. So, that's not out of the realms of possibility. They could get some victories there, and they will certainly need to. Ravens, though, I think are just chalked, right? I mean, their record is so bad. They play FaZe and Thieves. Thieves might not be great, but even Scrappy said during that flank episode that actually Thieves are better than they've shown in scrims at least. So we'll see if that actually ever translates, because Ghosty was saying the same thing in their episode last week, that they sat down on the couch and had a chat about it, and they still got slammed in the weekends. So we'll see if that actually ever translates. But this weekend, these are the games. Especially Friday and Sunday are great. Saturday's okay, but today I think is actually really good. So Rocker Gorillas start things off. Massively important game. If Gorillas win, that's going to be a winner's bracket start. If Rocker win, they give themselves a chance. Gorillas, though, should be the favourites there. Then OpTic Heretics. Pretty interesting to see. Like, are OpTic going to start slow as they did against Vegas? They should obviously beat Miami, and it's obviously a test for Miami just to see how competitive they can be with a top 4 team. But then the big one, obviously, New York versus Ultra, right? Kismet versus Scrappy. 2 of arguably the best best teams in terms of, well, obviously the best teams, but you know what I mean, in terms of chemistry and, teamwork and culture and structure behind the scenes. I think these two are two of the best, if not the best in the entire league. So them coming to blows will be good. Can Ultra snap Subliners search and destroy win streak? I feel like they'll kind of need to win the series. I doubt Ultra will win all 3 of the respawns, so they're going to need to probably win a search in there somewhere, Toronto, if they want to beat the Subliners, but they've not lost a search so far this season. So very much enjoyed your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.